Hello friends, in previous classes we have started with the module 3 uh, that is IP as IoT network layer, and in previous classes we have seen the advantages of IP layer, then the need for optimization, then how to optimize the IP layer with an example of adaptation layer, that is 6LoWPAN network. Now today we are going to discuss about the routing, that is routing the packets in IoT network. Now for routing the packets in IoT network we are going to use a protocol called RPL. Now RPL stands for IPv6 routing protocol for low power and lossy network. Now basically this is formed by a committee called ROLL, that is routing over low power and lossy network, which is developed by IETF, that is Internet Engineering Task Force. Now the main aim of this committee was to develop a routing protocol for your low power and lossy networks. Now we'll have a brief introduction of this RPL network, that is low power routing for low power networks. Now in this network each node is going to act as a router and becomes a part of a mesh network. You know what is meant by mesh network. Okay, then routing is performed at the IP layer. Now while performing the routing, each node examines the received IPv6 packet and determines the next hop in the destination path, and it is going to transfer that packet to the next hop in that particular path. Now as I told you, the IoT networks are going to have constrained nodes, means they are going to have a limited amount of memory and limited amount of computing power. Now as I told, in RPL every node act as a router, but to act as a router it has to have that particular node has to have some computing capability as well as some memory is required, and your end devices in your IoT network are constrained nodes, hence they may not have these facilities. Hence this RPL is going to work in two different modes. The first mode is called as storing mode and the second mode is called as non-storing mode. In storing mode, all nodes contain the full routing table of the RPL domain, means every node knows how to directly reach every other node, means it contains the complete routing table so that it can reach any node in that particular network. And the second mode is non-storing mode. Here only the border routers of the RPL domain contains the full routing table and all other nodes contain only the parent address, means the node which is above that particular node in a network, that is nothing but a parent node. It only consists of parent node address. This is called as non-storing mode. And in non-storing mode, to operate the RPL in non-storing mode, you can use constrained nodes because there is no requirement of memory as well as computing power. This is how the RPL works in two different modes, that is storing mode as well as non-storing mode. Now next comes the RPL. We'll see how the RPL works. Now the RPL is basically based on a concept of directed acyclic graph. You might have seen what is meant by acyclic graph, and this graph should be a directed one, means you should have edges from edges are going to have the direction, and this RPL works on a directed acyclic graph concept. This is an example of directed acyclic graph. Can you find any cycle in this graph? No. Hence it is an acyclic and you have the directions for the edges, hence it is an directed acyclic graph. And what is cycle? If you start at a one particular vertex and if you end with the same vertex, then there is a cycle in that particular graph. If you see this graph, there is no any cycle. Okay. And this RPL concept is based on this particular directed acyclic graph concept. Now along with this directed acyclic graph, it is the basis for your RPL process involves building destination oriented directed acyclic graph, that is called as DODAG. Now what is this DODAG? In DODAG, that is destination oriented directed acyclic graph, you have only one destination, means all the directions are towards that particular destination, whereas in acyclic graphs, acyclic directed graph, you have more than one destinations. Now in this example you can see the right side is an DAG, that is directed acyclic graph. Here we have more than one destinations, whereas in DODAG we have only one destination, and this RPL process is based on this DODAG, that is destination oriented directed acyclic graph. Now next we will see how the RPL is going to be implemented. This is the block diagram which shows the RPL overview. Now in this you have these are the nodes, these are all are nodes, and this is your router, which is nothing but the border gateway. You can call this as DODAG route. Okay, and then each node is going to be called as RPL instance, and based on the position of that particular node in a RPL graph, it is going to be assigned with the ranks. More about this rank and some other terminologies we are going to discuss further. Now this is a basic overview of your RPL protocol. Now we'll come to the terminologies used in your RPL protocol. Now the first terminology which is used is objective function, which defines how matrices are used to select routes and establish a nodes rank. Means, to assume that you have several routes to a particular gateway, then which route has to be selected, and that is going to be decided by this objective function, and it is also used to assign the ranks to your particular nodes in your RPL network. Now what is rank? Rank is a rough approximation of how close a node is from the root node. Means, if the root node is one hop away, then the rank is going to be assigned as 1. If the root node is two hops away from that particular node, then the rank is going to be 2. It is a rough estimation of how close a node is to the root node. Then the next terminology is RPL header. Now this RPL header is an routing header, which is an IPv6 routing header for source routes with the routing protocol for low power and lossy networks. Now next terminology is matrices. Now these matrices are the sum of the constraints which are defined in RFC 6551, and which includes the following. The first matrix is expected transmission count. Now this is assigns a discrete value to a number of transmissions a node expects to make to deliver a packet. Means, to deliver a particular packet, how many transmissions a node is going to make. Then next matrix is hop count. This tracks the number of nodes traversed in a path. Means, how many nodes you have traversed. Then latency, it varies, depends on your power consumption, and these paths with a lower latency are preferred. Means, whichever the path is having lower latency, that path is going to be selected. Then the next matrix is link quality level. Now here the quality of the link is going to be considered. Then the last matrix is link color. Okay, these are the matrices which are used in your RPL. This is about RPL protocol. Now the next thing is your authentication and encryption on constraint nodes. Now how these authentication and encryptions are provided for your constraint nodes. Now IETF working group has focused on your IoT security, and yet it has produced two groups, that is ACE and the second one is DI see, these are going to work on authentication and encryption on your constraint nodes. Now ACE stands for authentication and authorization for constraint environment, and this is a working group is tasked with the evaluation of the applicability of existing authentication and authorization protocols. And the second one is DICE. The DICE stands for DTLS in constraint environment. This is also a working group which focuses on implementing DTLS transport layer security protocols in your IoT environments. Okay, this is about the authentication and encryption on constraint nodes. Remaining things we will see in the next class.